Okay, so welcome back to the Church of King David. I am your servant, Adaptedon Harris. And today I'm going to read that chapter 72 that I never went back to read in the previous video, which is going to tell us that America is in fact the great whore in the latter days, as you can read right here. And it says, the United States is the great whore of the latter days. All other nations shall hate the United States because of its pride. All nations and kingdoms will be in turmoil before the coming of Ahawashai, and all will fall before him. So we're going to read this and connect it with some other scriptures. But before I start, I want to read this one right here. In 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, the King James Version, verse 27, where it says something very important, because we are in now the system of Armageddon. We are going to see things happen one right after the other, as Howard told us, and when he said that the end will be like, you encountered a bear and then you flee the bear, and then the lion met you and you left the lion, and you run into the house and you put your hand on the wall, and then the snake bites you. It's going to be one calamity after the other. And so what it says here, I like it, because a lot of us can't be faithful. Like, the test has been to see how strong you were to God, not your God, but the God, right? Because there is a distinction. Like, your God is not the God, right? Matter of fact, your God doesn't exist. He hasn't even been alive. It's a figment of your imagination. But nonetheless, you have been tested by the God of gods. And how did he test you? To see how strong you were and how faithful you could be to him. So when you had Christmas and New Year's, their New Year's, Valentine's Day, Easter would come along, and then Mother's Day, Father's Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then back to Christmas again. Well, all of these celebrations are just but a 24-hour long celebration or observation. And you were being tested over and over and over again to see how faithful you could be. And I want you, especially you ladies out there, because when you see a man that can't be faithful for 24 hours, and women, y'all know this, like y'all know, if a man will do something that's weak, y'all know he can't be strong on some real stuff. You know what I mean? And so this is what this is saying, right? It says, regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, right? We ain't got to worry about what they're about to do to each other, right? But the desire of those that kept thy testimonies in affliction, right? For those of us that held true to this word when times were hard, we are the strong ones. And so he is saying to the Most High, remember us that kept these testimonies in affliction, right? And so as we go into this season of Armageddon, which has already started, whether you like it or not, you're in World War III. Like it or not, you're in it. You're in it. We're in it. And so those men, when Christmas gets taken away, because it's going to get taken away, you're not going to be able to afford it. When you won't be able to afford Thanksgiving, when you won't be able to afford to take your wife or your girlfriend out on Valentine's Day, when you won't be able to afford to buy a new Easter suit, those guys are going to fold. because they couldn't remain strong to the God of gods for 24 hours. So there's no way that they're going to be able to make it through Armageddon. And a lot of these guys are going to, themselves as they see this crisis coming, one right after the other. You're going to be like, what in the world is going on? And a lot of y'all going to be standing out there in the streets acting like, oh, this ain't right. They can't do this to us. Well, this is it. The test is over. Now we got to take the quiz. And if you have not fortified your mind and your soul and your spirit to pass the quiz, the final exam, then so be it. That's why you were told, he that endures unto the end shall be saved. Not he that was lollygagging and taking it easy and loving the soft things of this world. Christmas is a soft thing. It's not really a manly thing to celebrate. New Year's is not a manly thing to celebrate. Valentine's Day, sure enough, ain't a manly thing to celebrate. Easter is not manly. Mother's Day is not manly. Father's Day should be manly, but it's not. Thanksgiving is not manly. And so you went behind all of these soft things, and now it's time to take the final exam. And with that being said, let's jump into it. So it says here, and I'm still in the title, that all nations and kingdoms will be in turmoil before the coming of the Lord. Well, let's go to Isaiah chapter 63. And let's start at verse 1, because it's going to tell us. And Christians, y'all going to have to understand it and accept that you are marked for death when Christ comes. You are his enemy. You're not his friend. You're not his friend. You will have no favor with him. So whenever we read Edom in the Bible, it's talking about two things. All European nations by the way of Christianity. Those two things that Christ is going to get rid of and destroy when he comes. Listen. Now, when he comes here, he shows up, he's fresh and clean and all white, but then he goes into this battle because the world is going to be in turmoil. Every nation is going to be fighting against every nation, as you see happening right now. So it says, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Right? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in greatness, in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel? Why is he red? And why has his clothes turned red when he showed up white? Because Christ is going to spill so much blood, especially Christian blood, that his clothes are going to look like they were red the whole time. He's going to spill so much blood. He's going to get so much blood on him. He's going to put in this work, man. He's going to get his man on. And no one is going to be able to stop him. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat? I have trodden the wine pressed alone. So when Christ shows up, no angel, none of the elect, no one is going to help him. He's going to do this by himself, so that no Christian will be able to say that it wasn't Christ that did it. He's going to make it straight up known that it's him that's doing it. Y'all going to say that he's the devil, But that doesn't matter. Y'all called him the devil back in the day when he was here before. So he says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. So we got to wait on the sidelines, and we're going to watch him do his thing. For I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. You see, when it's come time for Christ to redeem the elect, the 144,000 of all the 12 tribes of Israel, that Christian thing that y'all think y'all cute doing right now, he gonna shut y'all up, because he's not gonna have no opposition to his truth. The truth is, he's only saving the 144,000, his elect. Let me read this again. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Who is his redeemed? Those that were under the law, Paul said. Listen, Christians. He says, and I looked, and there was none to help. And I looked, and there was none to help. There is no other Savior except for Yahushua. Jesus Christ is not going to show up. And I looked, and there was none to help. Buddha is not going to save you. Allah is not going to come down. Yahushua is the man of war. And I looked, and there was none to help. And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore, my own arm brought salvation unto me. You see what I'm saying? He's saying he gonna bang y'all out, man. This Christ is coming to do battle. And he's gonna look, and he's like, it's like Achilles in that movie, Troy. In that opening scene, when he comes out and he's fighting that much taller, bigger guy, right? This is what Yahushua is liking this to when he comes back. He's like Achilles that knows, he's wondering, like, why won't these people come out and face me? Well, he knows that they're not. Listen to what, let me read this again. And I looked, and there was none to help. And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Right? There was there's no competition. There's no competition. Satan is not going to give y'all anything to deal with this man. He has no antidote to Yahushua. And he said, I will tread down the people in my anger and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. So he's saying, he's cutting that Christian lie. He's going to bring it down. And as he roll up upon you, if you talking that Jesus Christ stuff to him, he's going to squash you like grapes. Let me go to Revelation chapter 14. Let's read this. I start at verse 14, and it says, and I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Now you remember, in Metropolis, like I told you, when they showed the grim reaper, he had the sickle. Well, that is Christ. And remember, he was defending the black people whose bones were dried or turned to stone. Okay? So that's Ezekiel's dry bones. Do not underestimate that. Okay? Don't ever underestimate that. That was Ezekiel's dry bones in that film. And so they know that Christ is supposed to come and defend us as a people, defend black people. And so this is what they're talking about here in Revelation chapter 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap. Now, what did he just say here in Isaiah? He says, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So this is what the angels are saying to him. For the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. What are they going to harvest out of the earth? Only the 144,000 of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, if you read Revelations chapter 7. No one else is sealed by the Holy Ghost except for the 144,000, which are sealed. Read Revelations chapter 7. So he's going to come back, and he's going to put an end to Christianity. Edom. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven. So they're coming out of the church of King David, Zion, which is up in the heavens above the moon. So all of this is happening above the moon, above the glass dome, which we call the firmament down here. He also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire. And he cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Revelations 19. And it says, and I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was faithful and true, and in righteousness he doeth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God, the Ba Elohim. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he should rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress with the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he has on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And let's go back to chapter 72. So Christ is coming to do battle. He's not coming to accept that you were acting like you believed in him, and then every chance you got, you showed that you couldn't believe in him for 24 hours. Over and over again, year after year of your life. How weak and pathetic so many of you black men are. A lot of you are so weak and pathetic. All right, so let's get into this. You can't be faithful for 24 hours, but then you say, I love Jesus Christ. I don't think it works that way. All right, so let's jump into this. I'm waiting for it to click back on this page here. I'll start reading, and it says, and now, my beloved brothers and sisters, I say unto those of you who have received this record and are reading the words which I have been commanded to write unto you by Yahweh, behold, the woman and the great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth is this great nation, which shall rise forth in the latter days, even the nation which is called the United States by you. And this nation shall be like unto the Roman nation in all things, and like the great Roman Empire. And like the great Roman Empire, it shall fall, and great shall be the fall thereof. And during the last days there shall be other nations upon the earth, which shall also belong to the church of the devil. Y'all hear that? Let me read that again, because he said that in chapter 64, I believe, he says that the devil is the founder of the Christian church, not Christ. So he's bringing this back up again. He says, and during the last days there shall be other nations upon the earth, which shall also belong to the church of the devil, or the great and abominable church, of which Nephi had given an account. So all of them are telling you that Christianity was not founded by Christ. It was founded by the devil. That's why they have you on the devil's holidays and not God's holy days. He goes on to say, and these shall also be under the influence of the beast, and shall be consumed by their desires and interests in money and in gain and in fine things of the world. See, that's why so many of you gospel artists are showing yourselves like y'all hip hop artists. I ain't got nothing wrong with what the hip hop artists are doing. We know that they ain't right, but you guys that are out there deceiving people, and you are functioning like hip hop artists. All right, so 5, it goes on to say, and there shall be 10 great nations that shall be upon the earth at the same time, that the United States shall wield its power and influence over the world. And these are the 10 horns of which John had written, that shall hate the whore. For behold, these nations shall agree and give their kingdoms unto the beast, or in other words, be under the influence of Satan, like unto the United States. So the United States and Satan go hand in hand. He goes on to say, but these other nations shall hate the United States and abhor that for which it standeth. For these shall see the influence of the great whore upon the whole earth. And see, that's really important what he says here. See, the rest of the world is going to figure it out, that America is backed by Satan. And once they figure this out, they're going to be like Putin said. Now, if y'all remember, go try to find the video. Before all of this business with what Putin in Ukraine was doing, Putin said that he would not suffer his people to take the mark. You see, they started to see what these people are really after. They started to see that. And so this is what he's saying. Let me read it again. But these other nations shall hate the United States and abhor that for which it standeth. For these shall see the influence of the great whore upon the whole earth, and the cause of her wickedness, because of the greatness of her strength, which is the strength of her armies and her navies, which shall subdue all those who rise up against her. And she shall be prideful and arrogant in that which she claimeth for herself, even that she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. See, this is the spirit that has moved like fog into the black community, where you have so many black women saying that I don't need a man. That's the spirit that cometh from the great whore, which they receive and are energized with every time they go into a church. They are energized with this way of thinking, because America says, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And this, according to the prophecy of John, for the United States shall raise its head above all other nations, and proclaim its dominance over all the nations of the earth. And the leaders and the people of this great nation shall think of themselves as the most powerful nation upon the earth, against which no other nation shall arise and prosper. Now, this train of thought is like a magnet to Christ, because when Christ comes back, he has to deal with the United States. The United States is not praying to the real Son of God. And so like a magnet, the real Son of God is going to be attracted to this way of thinking, to deal with it. And there's only one way to deal with it. So let me continue in verse 11 right here. And it says, and the other nations of the earth shall commit fornication with this nation, or this great whore of which John speaketh. And this meaneth that they shall take part of the economy of this nation, and wax rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Behold, the people of this nation shall consume more of the earth and its resources than all the other nations of the earth. And their appetite for the things of the world shall go contrary to the laws of nature that have been established for its survival since the beginning. So in other words, you're consuming so much that you're not following the agricultural laws. Like you plant for 6 years, and on the 7th year, you let the land rest, where you're consuming so much that they can't do that. They have to keep planting, they have to keep planting, they have to keep planting. And so you're not obeying the laws of nature because you're consuming too much, America. Then it goes on to say, and its people shall believe that they are special, yea, a chosen people above all others. So this right here, what he's saying right here is why I keep saying that the United States and Christianity make up Edom, and they go hand in hand, because in America, you believe that America is a greater nation than God's firstborn nation, being Israel. That's a shame. You don't say in the United States, we submit to Israel. Not yet, you haven't said it. Maybe one day you will, if they have their way, but you haven't said that yet. You believe that you're above even the Israel that you think is Israel. So he goes on to say, and this, because of their prosperity and their riches and the fine things of the earth which they lust after and desire. And the youth of this nation shall be unlike any other since the world began, for they shall be consumers of their lust, having been taught these things by their parents. And that's so true. They got that right. And it says, and there shall be great markets set up, in which are displayed all the fine things of the world. Like there used to be a store called World Market. I don't know if they're still around, but it's not around here. And you used to go in there, used to see things from all over the world. From China, Korea, Russia, you name it, Poland, Switzerland. They had something from many nations in that one store. But that also applies to Walmart and all these other stores. And the youth of this nation shall gather themselves to these markets, and envy that which they do not possess, and buy all that they can purchase with the money that their hearts are set upon. Christmas. And virtue and righteousness and honesty and integrity and hard work and sacrifice, yea, even all those things that are the fruits of righteousness shall be a thing of the past. Just like right now, they know that these kids don't want to work for nothing. They don't want to work for a house. They don't want to work for a car. I mean, they are just a totally different breed. So they got that right. And it says, and the youth of this nation shall oppress their elders and cause great turmoil for their parents. They got that right. For these youth shall desire all the fine things of the earth and center their hearts let's try to get it to go up. So all of this is speaking the truth. And so when we say America is the great whore and that Christianity is the great whore, you best believe it, because there's so much written about this. Now they want to try to slow it down. All right, so it says, so we're coming back from here when it says, let me go back down. And it said, when it's speaking about the children centering their hearts and thoughts upon the things and care not for the poor and the needy, the sick, the afflicted that are among them. And the women of this nation shall rise up in power against the men and begin to control their husbands. And we see a lot of this happening out there already. That's been happening. Like some of you men are afraid to be men and tell your women what time it is. You just straight jello, man. You straight jello. And look down upon them and set their hearts upon all the fine things of the world that they can get from their husbands, each lusting after the things in her heart. And the young women shall lust after the much older man, shall lust after that which an older man can give unto her to make her comfortable. And we see that. And give her security in the lust of the flesh. So basically you're prostituting to have a place to stay. And these women shall rule over their husbands and live in misery with them, lusting only after those things that they receive because of the money of their husbands. And the men of this nation shall think of nothing but those things which they must do in order to acquire more material goods and get more gain, that they might, in their pride, have more than their neighbor, and be looked upon as one who has gained the success of the world because of his hard work and his industry. And these men shall engage in all manner of business to get gain, and their desires shall be set in lasciviousness and in envy of honor, and envy of the honors and glories of men, and their money and their possessions and the security of the blessings that they receive from Satan shall be the desires of their hearts. And then shall the words of the prophet Isaiah come to pass in the latter days, even as he said, the show of their countenance do witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. You see? So if you saw down in the shorts, there was a video about a woman that was on Dr. Phil, and she was telling Dr. Phil that you can't be given anything of any prominence in this world unless you make the deal. And what comes along with that deal is doing some of the things that they were doing in Sodom. Some of the things that they just accused Puffy of, right? Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, for it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. As for my people, the children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. And now, my brothers and sisters, I have seen your day and know of your wickedness, even that every soul upon the face of the earth is wicked in some manner, having made Satan their God, and money, which is the number of the beast, their desire. And because of these things and pride of the great whore, the other nations of the world shall hate her. And according to the words of John, these have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. For God has put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And now John continueth his prophecy, describing many of the things that I have explained unto you concerning the beast, and the great city, or the whore, as I have explained it unto you. And it is the great city Babylon, or the city that is the whore of all the earth, even these United States, of which John wrote, when he said, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through her abundance and her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in which she has filled the cup of the indignation of the wrath of God. Yea, in the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. Now, before I end this, I want to go to 2nd Ezra, because it kept saying all throughout this chapter 72 that the world is going to hate Christianity. The world is going to hate America, the United States. Well, once the time has come and the Most High tells these other nations, go get her, they're going to come and get you. And this is going to cause a global conflict between America and the rest of the world. And so we see that snowballing as we speak. We see it happening now. All right, so this is 2nd Ezra chapter 13. I'm going to read this and I'm going to get out of here. But this is the coming of Christ and the wars that the world is going to be fighting when Christ comes. So let me read this. And it says, this is the meaning of the vision. Whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea, the same is he whom God the highest has kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. So what he's saying is that they showed him how all the militaries, so if you're in the military, I want you to listen up, that all the militaries will have to fight against Christ, and he's going to destroy you all. Listen, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. One shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. At the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. So they're going to have to regroup when Ahava comes. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. So now all the militaries in the world are going to fight together against Christ. They're going to stop fighting each other. And so you see that with Ukraine and Russia, Israel, Iran, Israel and the Palestinians, China and Taiwan, and you're going to see some other stuff start popping off in other places in the world. You're going to see it, but now the prophecy is coming to pass, is active. So the prophecy now is active. And it says, but he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be shown to all men, being prepared and built, like as thy saweth, the hill graven without hands. And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into tempest. All right, so they're going to be caught up. They're going to be caught up, I'm telling you. And shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented. So Ahawashai is going to start to put it in their minds. So if you're in the military, Ahawashai is going to send you each and every military personnel person. He's going to send you a personal message to you into your mind, how he is going to kill you. That's what this is saying. It's a specialized death. Okay. He's going to show you how he's going to do it before he does it. And there's nothing that you can do about it. So if you're in the military, get ready to start to hallucinate. You're going to start to see how you are going to go up out of here. All right. And it says, wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law which is like unto me. So if you don't want to keep the law of God, that means you don't keep Yahweh. You don't keep the Most High. So if you hate God's law, you hate the Most High. So let me continue. And it says, and whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, these are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters. And so came they into another land. So this is when we came into America. So the people that they are calling the Native Americans are really the Israelites. All right. And these 10 tribes are the multitude in Revelations chapter 7. Let me go get it. In Revelations chapter 7, who are the multitude standing there after the 144,000 are talked about. They are the other multitude. So we just read that America is the great whore. Christianity is the great whore. It's the church and the nation. The nation is the church. That's what y'all need to understand. When you go down and you look at, say, Capitol Hill, that is the church of this nation. When you look at Capitol Hill in other nations, because other nations have it, they have the same thing. They may call it different things, but it's all the same. That is the only authorized church in this nation. All the other local churches are but synagogues that are working together with Capitol Hill, which is the church. Because another way of saying the new city Jerusalem is capital, right? Another way of saying church is capital. You got to get this type of understanding. So let me pull up Revelations chapter 7 real quick so y'all can see it. If this computer will do its job. So I want you to see that. So the second group that Christ saved are the 10 tribes, the other tribes of Israel. So even for a second time, he's not saving Christians. I want y'all to think about that. Now, I've had pastors and people, from various churches come and basically Bible battle me. And that would be one of the things that they would go to. They would go to Revelation chapter 7 when they realized that they were losing the battle. They would go to Revelation chapter 7, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, and they would want to speak about the multitude that was from out of every nation and tongue that's written in Revelation chapter 7. They would say, well, this is us. This is us, because they know that the chief salvation they can't obtain, right? So they realized that they could not obtain that. I remember one time I was in a Bible battle with this white pastor and this African pastor. And when the African pastor came and they started to throw these scriptures on me to try to see how I would testify about it, the more that went on, the African pastor started to switch to my side, because he started to realize that it was impossible, if you understood the sequence, that this could not apply to anybody else. So let's go here. So here we have, and starting at verse 4, it says, "And I heard the number of them that were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel." So right there, when it says all the tribes of the children of Israel, they're not talking about anybody else. But let's go down. So the only ones that are sealed are the men that the Holy Ghost seals. Doesn't seal all of Israel. But let's go down here to verse 9. And it's going to say the same thing we just read in 2 Ezra chapter 13. And it says, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands." Right? Now we just read that Christ comes to this multitude. All right, and it says, "And whereas thou sawest, he gathered another, and he gathered another," because he's already redeemed 144,000. But then he comes back and he gathers another peaceable multitude unto him. Those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. Do y'all get it? "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude." See, when they used to do this Bible battle thing with me, especially Christian pastors, they would go to this. This was like one of their go-to points. See here, you see here, it's saying here. Yeah, because y'all plagiarized it, right? And y'all tweaked it to give yourself an advantage. But the written word is no comparison to the spiritual word. Y'all feel me? Do you understand? And so us having the Spirit upon us to read multiple books, we know what this is saying. See, a man that doesn't study can be subdued by them. But no, this is talking about us, that second multitude. And so he has chosen Israel. Again, let's read that, and then we'll get out of here. It says that in Isaiah chapter 14. It's going to say it in the first verse of that chapter. So he's not choosing Christians ever. Y'all got to understand that, because you are a part of that system that is deceiving the entire world. And it's a shame that y'all can't see it. But I guess you're not chosen to see it. Listen, what does it say here? This is a chapter about the fall of Christianity, Edom, right? And what does it say? It says, "For Ahava will have mercy upon Jacob," right? That's the 144,000, and yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Ahava for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So I would say, like with Revelation chapter 7, but it's saying that you have, the only way you're coming in is as our slave. But that doesn't mean he's saving you. You see, and will yet choose Israel. See, this is the second time he's choosing Israel again, the children of Israel again. He's never going to choose Christians. So I want y'all to think about that. So with that, I'm going to say shalom and Abba Nawa forever.